I'm going to show you how to replace the carburetor, and I'll be leaving an Amazon affiliate link to the kit that I bought to replace it. I'm not sure what that's for. It's like an extra one. This is really nice to have. It's the air cleaner in case yours is getting old and dirty like this one. And then, of course, the carburetor itself. For about $5 less, you can get just the carburetor. There are 3 8mm bolts holding this on. They have to come out. Once they're out, you can then lift this up and allow him to go all the way up to here. This right here just unclips from the top, and then down below there's these two things that go down into 2 holes down below here. So he just slips on like that. This guy here, he just comes right off. Now there's 2 bolts. They're black right here and one right there. So 8mm or 5/16. There's the second one. Now the silver ones, you have to take off the 8mm and switch it down to a 7mm. Those two come out. Now this here just pulls toward you at this point. There's this black hose right here that was connected right there. In other words, this black hose connects to this and it just pulls off. There's no clips, there's nothing holding them on there. It just slips right on. This little air breather hose that we just disconnected, it gets in the way of this little linkage right here. All we have to do is pull up and this gas tank starts to lift up. It won't come off completely, but it lifts up enough that we can then get up inside here and just pull this out. And all he does, this whole piece right here, just fit right in a hole. There's no clamps, there's nothing. Brush off all the dirt. This spring right here, it came off when I was using the paintbrush. It went back here. This is a permanent post. It doesn't move or anything. But this one up here, it actually controls the choke. And that's where the other end of this spring goes, is right there. And I don't think it makes a difference whether this side went here and that side went there. But it connects to this choke here. Pay real close attention to this. This right here, we're going to have to disconnect. And this one right in here. If you notice, they just come in through the top. For this next part, I've already taken out most of the gas out of this gas tank. We're going to disconnect the hose here. It could also be done down up underneath the carburetor, but I'm going to do it right here. And what I like to do is just take a water bottle like this. Just take a pair of scissors on it. Cut it so that I have something to put up underneath there. I like to also take a rag and put it around it in case some leaks out. So we'll disconnect this first. Now what I like to do is then pull this up. Remember, this will come right off now. And I have another water bottle over here ready to pour this gas into this here. But once I get him drained, then I just take this one that's partly full. This is gasoline. You should be wearing gloves, eye protection, no smoking, and no sparks. And really, you probably should have a funnel, but pour him in there. This isn't meant to be permanent storage, but it's a way of getting things out of the way. I just want to point out, we're not going to have to deal with this spring at all, but pay attention how it comes and hooks in here, comes over to the side and connects into here, in case yours gets knocked off somehow. Same thing with this spring. We shouldn't have to deal with it at all. The only thing we're going to be dealing with are these 2 linkages. The carburetor itself, there's nothing really holding it on anymore. It comes right off. If you notice, there's a black O-ring right here and then the white ring, and it goes in the back side of this carburetor. So now we just got to lift up and get this guy off right here. It's a little bit hard without bending things too much. So he's off, and then we got to do the same thing with this one, meaning we just got to lean him forward like this. Now I've deliberately left this here so that I can pour out the gasoline. There's this black O-ring that went right there, and then there's this fiber gasket, whatever you want to call it. It's a hard piece of plastic. He went here. There's a notch right here on this white O-ring, and it goes on the outside. It doesn't seem to matter where in the circle it goes, but you don't want that little notch pushing inside this way against this black O-ring. This guy here doesn't matter whether he goes this way or this way. There doesn't seem to be a front or a back. In other words, he could go in just like that. These spark plugs, they're the same, because I was a little worried this one might be too long. See how you can tell this one's thicker than this one here? So I'm just going to reuse my hose because he looks good, but if yours was cracked or was in real bad shape, then go ahead and use the one that came in the kit. This gas hose here has a little bit of a bend to it, and you want it to go out and away from this here, meaning it's got to go on like this, not like spun around like that where it's pushing in toward there. You need to spin it like this. Make sure these clamps are facing the correct direction, where when you put this on that you can clamp them on and off later in the future too. So this clamp here, I'm just gonna put him on like this. Then double check your white thing is still in there. There's this right here. It's going to go in this slot right here. So it's got to go just like that as this pushes in. But remember, we've got to hook up our two connections first. This one went up here. He's got to be put on before you slide that in. So he goes like that. And this one, he's got to go inside there, and we've got to bend him like that. Like I say, I got to make sure that that thing slides down in between, just like that. Now, at this point, all it is just push hard, and it'll slide in. Now, I struggled a little bit with this here, and I found the best way to do it is you're going to have to slide this on later, this right here. But with that down like that, just hold her here, and it just pushes on straight in like that. And then you take this clamp and put him on right there. Put this in its hole. It's a lot easier to put it in right now. So you just put him in. Make sure it's above this and not down up underneath. It goes on top of this linkage right here. Then you take this and put it on. All we do now is put this in those little slots, pushing down. We'll start with these little protrusion things right here. They look like maybe a screw would go in that hole or something, but they don't. They're just alignment pins to go into this hole and this right here. This we're not going to worry about at all at the moment. So this guy here, he just kind of goes up underneath this here, and then you get those alignments to go. Then you take the 8 millimeters and put them in its hole, meaning where the screws go in. And I actually don't want them down very tight yet. If you were to look here where the 7 millimeters go, it's not in perfect alignment yet. This one down here is. So I'll take him and put him in there first. I might have to rock it a little bit till it actually fits in its hole. Swap over to the 7mm. Okay, it is aligned now, but like I say, I had to rock the carburetor a little bit to get it to do that. So now you just tighten those down. This goes in next. It doesn't matter whether it goes this way or you flip it that way. Makes no difference whatsoever. You push this on. Then this here, remember I mentioned how these have to slide in down there. So that has to slide in up under there. And then it snaps in. I want to point out this gas tank right here does not go flush like I have it now. It actually pushes down a little more, meaning it goes like that. And now is when we connect this up right here. This doesn't have to be done now, but we might as well do it. Take that off. Like I say, I'm going to take this and reuse it. Now here in the desert, all this gas that's pouring out will evaporate really quickly. Again, don't be smoking, don't do anything stupid that'll make sparks, etc. that might catch things on fire. I just take this up and hang it up on something to let it dry. Put that back on there. Now we're going to take this and just stretch him down there. This has to align with this stuff, so sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to actually fit him on there. Once he's on there, you just got to take these 3 screws. Remember, those are those 8mm. Make sure you get them down tight, and you're all done. Now, we're going to see how many times it takes for this mower to actually start. To be honest, I was absolutely surprised it started on the first pull. Now let's see how well it handles under a load. Keep in mind, I installed the new air filter, the new spark plug, and the carburetor. So I'm sure that helped it start so easily. Be careful of when disposing the empty water bottles, because remember, they have gas fumes in them. So let them completely air out before you throw them away. To drain your carburetor, all you need to do is take a 3/8" wrench, connect it into the bottom, and just do a half a turn, and out comes this thing right here. I'll be taking this carburetor apart and showing what's inside of it. YouTube gives us 20 seconds at the end of each video to click on a card that'll take you to different videos. One of them will be showing what's inside this. You can make your selection now. Appropriate Amazon links are down below this video. This is Ron from Fixing Stuff in Black and White, signing off.